Good morning or afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another winter and fall week video. I do apologize I did not have one out yesterday. I was quite busy, but this will make up for it. This is my preliminary winter forecast 2020 to 21, number 2 here. So we do have quite some changes. We're going to be looking at precipitation, temperatures, and also going to be looking at the general forecast. In my next winter preliminary forecast, I will be doing snow anomalies and who can see above average and below average snowfall. That'll be my next preliminary winter forecast very soon, next coming days here, but be sure to stay tuned for that. But we have quite some big updates here, so we're really going to be watching out who could be seeing some above average or below average precipitation, who can be seeing below or above average temperatures, who could be seeing a big amount of snow, very wet, who can be dry. We're going to be looking at all of that. So if you want to know what this winter can bring for you, be sure to watch by the end of the video when we have our very exciting general winter forecast just for the general map. But we're going to be looking at precipitation and the temperatures first, and then we'll be looking at my very exciting general winter forecast map at the end of the video. So please stay tuned for that. But before we get the video, please subscribe if you're new, especially subscribe if you really want a lot of winter videos from now on, because as we get into the August phase, that's when we start to get a lot more winter and fall videos. Obviously, we're still going to be looking at the tropics, but still going to start merging more into winter and fall compared to July. But obviously, be sure to share the video as well to anybody that you know loves winter or fall, and be sure to share the channel to anybody that you know will love weather forecasts. But without further ado, let's get into this preliminary winter forecast. Here's a look now at the precipitation. So as you see here, it has changed quite a bit. We do have two regions of moderately above average precipitation. Then we have an area that's moderately below average precipitation. So let's go and start off now with the above average precipitation. We do have the lemon lime area all the way from the Pacific to the Atlantic, from Washington to Maine. We do have a lemon lime green that is slightly above average precipitation. So we'll be above average precipitation, whether it's snow, sleet, ice. We're missing slightly above average, so you won't really notice it. You may or may not, just depending on really if it does tend to be a lot more precipitation than we thought. But either way, you will be above average, just not by that much really. So whether it's snowfall, rain, you can see slightly above average of whatever precipitation you see here. Obviously, we see a lot of precipitations: rain, snow, sleet. We have a lot of things, freezing rain. So we're going to be seeing slightly above average, and that's going to be a very widespread area in the United States there, including much of the northern, much of the early as well, eastern United States as well. So it's going to be quite a generally wet season, as we do have a La Nina pattern in. Going to bring in some Arctic blast here. That's going to bring some really high amounts of precipitation. We're going to have some Gulf moisture as well. That's going to really set up a nice low pressure anywhere from the Great Lakes, anywhere from the Pacific Northwest, and that can create a ton of moisture there, and that's going to bring a lot of snow, a lot of rain, a lot of freezing rain towards the Great Lakes and Pacific Northwest. But for those other areas in lemon lime, we can be seeing above average precipitation, but just a slightly below. Probably won't notice it. Just going to be maybe 5 inches, 10 inches, a bit more than you usually see in the typical season. But now that we checked out the slightly above average precipitation, let's take a look now at the moderately above average precipitation. So in this region, you would definitely notice it a lot more than the areas in the lemon lime. So if you're in this second shade of green, whether it's the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, or areas in the Pacific Northwest, we're going to be seeing a lot more precipitation, way over 10 inches above average. And that's going to be mainly snow or rain, obviously. For the Great Lakes, it would actually be a lot more snow compared to average, which is where it goes into the above average. But areas near like the Pacific Northwest, including Seattle, Oregon, you guys have less snow. But areas in the Rockies, including Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, you guys see that really high amounts of rain and snow as well, both of those. But really going to be seeing a lot of precipitation starting to come in now in the Pacific Northwest and the Rockies, as we start to see our first frost here very, very soon here, and our first snowfall extremely soon, but for September. So really going to get some these conditions already on its way for fall, but it's obviously for winter. we're missing a lot of snow possibilities for those areas in the Rockies, and that's going to bring out a lot of precipitation. We're missing a lot more frequent snowstorms starting the Rockies because of this La Nina pattern. So that's going to bring in a lot of moisture, and that moisture is going to meet the cold front, and then boom, we're going to be seeing a lot of snow here, whether it's stationary or if it's east, it's going to move eastward, and that can cause a lot of precipitation for those areas in the plains all the way to the northeast. Our other region for moderately above average precipitation, that's going to be a lot because of those huge clippers that can come in there. With this La Nina pattern, we're going to be seeing above average precipitation in general for those areas in the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. But also when we see these clippers and stationary cold fronts, that's going to bring that cold air is going to meet that precipitation. That's going to bring in a lot of snow there, way above average snowfall as well, which will add on precipitation. Also, if we have bigger cold fronts for lake effect, that can bring more rain for the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. So generally going to be seeing a lot of precipitation for the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley and portions of the Rockies and Pacific Northwest. Let's take a look now at the drier regions there. That's going to be now moving in towards the southwest and the south central. We have a pretty big area that's all the way from Oregon to Mississippi, where we do have slightly below average precipitation. We're missing a lot less of an active southwestern United States region, those Rockies and the Four Corner states. We're missing a lot less active of a winter. It's gonna be very boring. Let's just say that we're not going to be seeing any big snowstorms that start off in the southwest and make their way to the Great Lakes like we saw with Ezekiel and those major blizzards that cross in January and February. We aren't going to be seeing that really much this year because this La Nina pattern, that's going to bring in a lot drier and a lot warmer for those areas. Going to be a lot harder for those snowstorms to really develop there. And I'm saying we're not going to have any snow there. Just going to be a lot less active compared to last year. We do have some slightly below average all the way from Oregon, of course, Mississippi, like I said. That you won't really notice. It won't be like a major drought. It could get quite dry at times. It could get wet at times, but mainly for the 4 months of this winter, it will be mainly in general drier, but just slightly. On the other hand, in those areas in the Los Angeles, it's not Los Angeles, Nevada, California, Utah, and Arizona, those areas we're going to be seeing some moderately below average precipitation. There we can definitely notice a change in precipitation. Going to be seeing a lot less rain, which is obviously not good. They see dry enough winters when it comes to in general, but with this La Nina pattern going to be a lot drier, a lot harder for snowstorms to develop here, and so we're going to be seeing a lot less snow here in the southwest, a lot less possibilities then for early on season storms, but that's for precipitation. Let's take a look at the temperature outlook. So this is for temperatures. As you see, we do have quite a big difference compared to my first preliminary winter forecast, I believe. Let's take a look now at the below average temperatures first here. So here we have the light blue. That first light blue, that is slightly below average temperature. So it's going to be a bit cooler in those regions, and the light blue can be a bit cooler here. Won't be a huge difference, but it's going to be cooler, most definitely going to be cooler, a cooler winter, if not slightly cold winter. That's going to be all the way from Washington to Georgia up to Maine. So that's going to be a widespread region. It's going to be split to this winter will be kind of split to north to south. But usually we see the winter split east to west. But this time it'll be split kind of south to north, which that doesn't happen super often. Obviously, it just kind of pattern changes. We usually typically see an east to west difference for winters, but that won't be the case this winter. But as you see, very large region of the United States will be very cold, and a large region as well will be warm. We're going to kind of be split up. So the majority of the United States won't be seeing an average winter, but the majority will be seeing a cooler, if not colder, winter due to those major clippers, major Arctic blasts. It's going to bring in a lot of cold air that comes in from Canada. But yep, now light blue, slightly below average temperature. It's going to be slightly cooler at some points. We can be seeing some big cold fronts, but in general, those major cold fronts and Arctic blasts, they will reach those areas in the light blue, just not as frequent, or as if they're frequent, just not as strong, obviously. Because as it does move more to the south, they'll kind of maybe wind down with coldness-wise. And the second blue there, the second shade, like a navy blue, or not navy blue, like kind of baby blue color, we do have moderately below average temperatures there. We're going to definitely start to notice that cold temperatures. That's going to be for areas all the way from the Rockies up into the eastern Great Lake region. We're going to be seeing big possibilities for some major clippers up there in Montana that can maybe wind down to Nebraska, South Dakota, and then we're seeing some very large Arctic blasts for the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley and those second regions. It's going to be a lot cooler compared to the light blue. You will definitely notice the cold air. It's going to be a lot more frequent, and those Arctic blasts will be a lot stronger and a lot cooler, or not cooler, colder. A lot bigger impacts as well. And that dark blue we have way above average, way below average temperatures. There is the heart of the cold. And those areas in the dark blue, that's the heart of the cold. We're going to be seeing major clippers, extremely frequent. Could be back to back cold fronts, really. We're going to be seeing a very early start to winter in those areas. It's going to be extremely cold early on. It's gonna be it's like going from summer. It's gonna be like going from summer really to just straight up to winter like we saw last year, but for a different region. But if you're in the dark blue, you're gonna be seeing way below average temperatures, a lot more frequent cold fronts, extreme cold fronts, even clippers there. So that can bring in possibly negative digits there for those areas. Very frequent. Gonna be also big possibilities as well for some dangerous cold temperatures. So gonna be seeing a very frigid heart of the cold or heart of winter basically for those areas in the dark blue. Now let's go merge on to the warmer temperature regions. We're going to be seeing slightly above average temperatures all the way from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Going to be a warmer southern United States. As we get closer to the west, that region there will kind of increase for warm temperature wise, but going to maintain a very slightly warmer Gulf Coast. Going to be slightly warmer. It won't be too shabby. It won't be too bad really. You won't really feel it. It can be maybe only 5 degrees above average at some points. We will, on the other hand, see some big warm fronts in those areas that are slightly above average. It's not as frequent. Same thing what I said with slightly below average. And generally, you got to be above average, but just barely. It's gonna be like you probably won't even notice it really. But it's gonna be a bit warmer, so obviously chances for snow may have decreased. But those areas that are in the slightly below average temperatures that are in the southeast, you guys don't really see snow, like Florida, Alabama, southern Georgia, Louisiana. You guys don't frequently see that much snow or snow at all some winters. But now that's going to be winding down to La Nina patterns, going to even be less of a probability for happening. And then we have a moderately above average region there for portions of the west coast and even southwest. They're going to be very warm, going to be very dry as well. So really going to be seeing a very boring, hot, dry summer-like winter. I don't mean summer-like because of the temperature. We're not going to be seeing triple digits, but I mean summer-like because it's going to be warm and dry, which is what most summers are in the Southwest. Now, drum rolls, please. We will have now my general winter map, and boom, there we go, guys. So let's check. We have a lot of regions here, so let's go and check out and check the one down by down. So let's check out now the stormy and warm region. That's going to be for areas of the south central, and also including the southeast. So it's going to be stormy and warm. So it's going to be going to see a frequent amount of storms. It won't be like above average storms, but in general it's going to be stormy and it's going to be slightly warmer. So it's not going to be like boiling hot. It's just going to be slightly warmer. Won't notice. It's going to be actually maybe some pretty cool temperatures. It could be decent. It's probably going to be some nice temperatures. Maybe some 60s, some 50s up there in those areas. Some 40s frequently. It's going to be stormy and warm in the general region. So not going to be super snowy. I wouldn't even doubt if you guys don't see snow at all if you're in that region there. But not going to be boiling hot, but also not going to be super wet. Let's check out now that winter battle zone. Winter battle zone, it's in the pink. So in the winter battle zone, what that is that you have a chance for snow, either snow, sleet, rain. Like it's going to be a mix of possibilities. You're not just going to be seeing a snowy winter. It's going to be like a snowy, icy, moist, all around winter really. So it means you have chances for every single precipitation that's winter-like. So if you're in that winter battle zone, you can definitely see either ice, either sleet, freezing rain, snow. That's where you guys have a chance there. So it isn't a guarantee you'll see snow, but it's very likely if you're in that winter battle zone, you can at least see snow at least once and can see maybe some freezing rain, sleet a lot more frequently if you're in that winter battle zone. With that, just up from that winter battle zone, we have big snow events there in that kind of light blue, almost white color. That's going to be from Kentucky all the way up to Maine. We'll be seeing some nor'easters, obviously for the East Coast and the East Coast corridor, not Kentucky, but the East Corridor. We can see some big snow events, but more inland like Kentucky, West Virginia. We can be seeing some big snow events because some huge Arctic blasts coming from the plains and from the Great Lakes, and we're going to be seeing above average precipitation in those areas in the Ohio Valley, and that's going to create some very big snowstorms for the Mid-Atlantic, for the Ohio Valley, and in those storms that originate in those areas will move up the East Corridor and bring some big snow events, whether it's going to be a nor'easter or whether it's going to be a big general snowstorm or blizzard. That's where we're going to be seeing a big threat for that from Kentucky all the way up to Maine. So I know those areas that are in that big snow event region barely if not didn't get snow at all. But I promise you guys this could very well be a completely different summer here. We can very well merge into that negative AO at some point, Arctic oscillation. That's going to bring a lot cooler temperatures for the eastern and northern United States like we expect this year. In the purple region, we have extremely snowy. That's going to be very extremely heart of the snow, really. That's where we're going to be seeing not the heart of the cold, but heart of the snow. Very snowy Great Lakes, very snowy Midwest and Ohio Valley. It's going to be extremely snowy. I promise you guys in Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan. I know you guys didn't get to see that much snow last year at all, but I promise you this will be completely different. It's going to be very snowy, wet. It's going to be a lot winter-like. It's going to be more winter-like than we expected last year. And the white region and the Great Lakes, we have lake effect snow. So we're going to be seeing a very active lake region, very active snow. It's going to be active winter. That's going to be areas for the far northern Minnesota area, far northern Wisconsin, and portions of the lake regions in Michigan, even portions of Indiana. You guys can see there in Lake Michigan some nice and decent amount of lake effect. In that dark blue region as well for areas of the Midwest and Central Plains, we do have a frequent cold. So it's going to be frequently cold. Going to see some Arctic blasts. Going to be seeing some big cold fronts at some points. Maybe even some big Arctic cold fronts at some points. Those can be a lot more frequent than they were last year. So it's going to be very cold in those general areas in the Mississippi River Basin and also areas in the Central Plains. On the in the pink, we have Arctic cold fronts. So the more north we go from there, it's going to be a lot worse. The cold fronts are a lot worse. The cold temperatures. So in the pink, we're missing Arctic cold fronts. Are going to be a lot worse compared to the frequent cold. A lot cooler, a lot colder, a lot more frequent. Because see some more negative digits in those areas than there were last year. Going to be very cold in general, and that's really all I can say. Really, I don't know what else to say. And then north of that, we have heart of the cold and that kind of dark red. We have that's gonna be where we have major clippers. Heart of the cold, really extremely cold, can reach many negative digits this year. These negative digits will be very frequent, extremely frequent, too frequent to the point where it's gonna be kind of dangerous, kind of quite annoying. So we're gonna be seeing blizzard-like conditions at some points when these snowstorms could be seeing some big blizzards as well in the heart of the cold really region. So very snowy and extremely cold in those areas that are under the heart of the cold region. And that red pink color, we have a snowy. That's going to be all the way from Montana up into the areas of the Southwest, including New Mexico and northern Texas. We can have some snowy conditions. So it's going to be possibly slightly above average snow this year in these areas, the Rockies and in the plains, including Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma. You guys can be seeing slightly, if not higher, above average snowfall this year. So, could see the decent amount of snowstorms. I'm not guaranteeing a blizzard, but if you're near the Denver area, North Platte, Cheyenne, you guys, I can guarantee a blizzard this winter, if not multiple. But we're going to be generally seeing a snowy winter in these areas. In the white region, another white region there in the western plains and the Rockies, we have a very snowy mountain. So it's going to be very snowy mountainous area. You're going to be seeing way above average snowfall in these areas. It's going to be extremely snowy, extremely frequent. and that's why we're going to have a big threat for a lot of snow this year in the northern half of the United States there. Whether those snowstorms carry on the Great Lakes, bring blizzards for the Midwest, whether they carry on into the Ozarks, there's going to be some big rocky snowstorms. It's very promising for some big snowstorms in those areas, because you do know the Rockies are the heart of the epicenter of these snowstorms. The low pressure systems form over the Rockies, bring snow for a couple days, and then that snowstorm or those mountain snow kind of combine together and blow up into a major snowstorm. That's the main region there. That's the main developed region for snowstorms, the MDR of snow. That's where we're going to be seeing that. Notice how the mountain snow won't be in Arizona, Nevada, California, because that's where we're going to be seeing very dry and warm, and going to be it's going to be not as frequent, if not frequent at all, to have those southwestern snowstorms. But areas in the higher rocky regions have a promising future ahead of them for this winter. In the purple region, we have very warm and dry. When I say very warm and dry, I don't want to mean like drought and summer temperatures, because I know the word very can be used overhyped. So very warm and dry doesn't mean like very dry as in drought, or as in very warm as in 100 degrees. It's just going to be warmer. It's going to be warmer and drier than those other regions this year, in other regions, including the South Central. So it's going to be very warm compared to other regions. So not going to be a fun winter for those areas out there in the Southwest and Western United States. But in the Pacific Northwest, you guys will be lucky with this La Nina pattern, and you guys are going to avoid you guys are going to be avoiding that warm and dry conditions. But for those areas in the Pacific Northwest in the fall, you guys won't be too lucky. If you guys have seen the fall forecast, if not, check that out. But going to be quite chilly and quite rainy, very moist. Could be maybe seeing some above average snowfall for Seattle, Portland. You guys can possibly see some more snow than you guys usually typically do. I believe like Seattle and Portland only see like on average 2 inches of snow. I actually see more snow than that, but we'll see if we can maybe reach that 3 inch or above this year. Hope you guys did enjoy this winter forecast, and bye guys.